the way I see the entire debt and debt service, and even debt sustainability conversation for Nigeria right now.
Well said. We saw clearly that the borrowing cost for the federal government moved from an average of 12.8% in 2023 to around 19% in the first 5 months of 2024. And this is due to harsh tightening of the CBN's monetary policy stance. Even businesses are also having a fair share of these. Would you say it's a good time to start considering slowing down on its policy stance? I mean, the next MPC meeting is up in July, obviously.
I wouldn't say that should happen just yet. There are other ways that the CBN can support businesses to reduce their cost of borrowing. And your question is actually split in two. So we're looking at the private sector and then also looking at the government. For the government, the high interest rate is supposed to, discourage them from borrowing from the CBN. They are not supposed to do that. We've seen how detrimental that has been to the economy over the years. When we saw an increase in ways and means advancements from, the CBN under Emefiele's time to the President Buhari regime at the time, and that significantly made our monetary policy, regime very loose, and the bulk of all of that is what we're still dealing with today, especially when you consider the fact that that debt has now been securitized to add to Nigeria's total debt stock, right? So it's not advisable that the CBN would borrow to the federal government. And thankfully, the new CBN governor has already reiterated that they're not going to venture into such, at least in the meantime, and at least based off of what he's saying. And we would take his word for it at the moment. The key thing here is that for the federal government to borrow from anywhere, they're obviously going to be scouting for low interest rate loans. And that's what the Minister of Economy and Minister of Finance has already been doing. We don't expect that they're really going to get so much of that because the interest environment globally is high. If you check through the financing agreements for the reset loan package, you'd see that the interest rate attached to that loan, even from the World Bank, is about 8.3%, right? Even though that is going to start happening from about 2030, still the interest rate is not 0%. It's not even 1%, right? So for low interest loans, borrowing from the federal government, for borrowing from the central bank is a no-no right now. That would only worsen Nigeria's current economic issues, right? And disincentivize investor confidence, and also just be far off from, the, will I say, conditions or the best approach to alleviate the economy right now in terms of being in good standing with the international community. The trade-off is that we're going to experience slow growth, right? It's a welcome trade-off if prices begin to go down when interest rates are increasing. And so the only unfortunate thing now for Nigeria's context is that the exchange rate as well is significantly depreciating, right? So the attention solely should be on stabilizing the exchange rate, because from there businesses will see their input cost materials also reduce substantially. And to be very fair, to an extent, their borrowing costs, which sometimes are even procured in which sometimes their loan portfolios are even sometimes in dollar terms, would see that also reduce, right? So essentially, I would say the focus right now for monetary authorities in terms of supporting businesses should be to ensure that the exchange rate is appreciating, and that only would happen if forex inflows are substantial.